When Mom laughed as my daughter fell at the dance recital, the shocking truth revealed. The gym buzzed with excitement, the kind of energy that crackled in the air, the chatter of parents mingling with the upbeat music echoing from the stage. But all that joy came crashing down in an instant. One moment, my daughter, Lily, twirled gracefully like a flower in bloom, and the next, she was sprawled on the ground, her face a picture of shock. Gasps filled the room. Everyone froze. Then, from across the gym, the unexpected happened. Her mother, my ex-wife, burst into laughter. It echoed, cutting through the tension like a knife. What sparked that cruel burst of amusement? Lily's fall wasn't just any tumble, it was the kind of fall that seemed to happen in slow motion. Her tiny foot caught on the hem of her costume, the sequined fabric catching the light just as she lost her balance. Down she went, arms flailing, a porcelain doll breaking under a careless hand. The audience collectively held their breath, eyes wide in horror. But there, in the middle of that sea of worried faces, my ex-wife found it hysterical. Her laughter rolled over the spectators, who exchanged shocked glances, some even whispering, "Can you believe that? How heartless." Yet I couldn't look away. With each laugh, an ominous shadow settled over me. I felt a knot in my stomach. Why was she laughing? Was this some kind of twisted revenge? I mean, sure, she and I had split years ago, but our daughter was suffering. I knew her laughter, it sounded almost maniacal, like something was terribly off. As I fought to push the thoughts aside, I caught a glimpse of Lily. Tears streamed down her cheeks, her little body shaking. I could feel her pain. My heart raced. I wanted to sweep her up in my arms and shield her from everything, especially from the person who should have been the first to comfort her. The murmurs of the crowd swelled, mixing shock with disdain. "What's wrong with her?" someone whispered. "Doesn't she care?" I clenched my fists, desperate for answers. Why was this laughter so cruel, so chilling? Did it have something to do with the cryptic message I had recently received? Before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. As the music faded, the air became thick with confusion. I looked back at my ex-wife, and the laughter had faded into an unsettling grin. The laughter should have stopped, but it clung to her like a fog, penetrating the joyous atmosphere. Questions burned in my mind. What secrets lay beneath her laughter? Why wasn't anyone confronting her? I needed to understand the truth behind this surreal moment before it consumed the last shreds of my daughter's innocence. But what was it? What hidden story was entwined in this dance? And how would it all unfold? The crowd's murmurs swirled like a storm, hanging heavy in the air. Parents exchanged frantic glances, disbelief painted on their faces, while Lily shuffled back onto the stage, her small body still shaking with sobs. I wanted to rush to her, but a churning mix of anger and fear rooted me in place. My eyes darted back to my ex-wife, who stood there, her expression twisted into something unsettling, as if she thrived on the chaos she'd caused. "Why are you laughing?" I finally shouted, my voice slicing through the buzz like a siren. Gasps rippled through the audience. Everyone turned to look at me, their gazes filled with surprise and judgment. But I didn't care. This was my daughter out there, my baby. I had to defend her. My ex-wife met my gaze, her laughter replaced with an icy smirk. "Oh, come on. You can't tell me that wasn't funny," she replied, her tone almost sing-song, as though we were discussing the weather instead of Lily's humiliation. It sent ice coursing through my veins. How could she be so heartless? Funny? It was her worst moment. I fired back, fists clenched and heart racing. The anger boiled within me, blurring my vision as emotional memories collided. I recalled the late-night arguments that shattered our family, the bitter divorce that felt like a betrayal. And here she was, in public, laughing at our daughter's pain. Lily, who had gathered herself enough to stand tall despite the tears on her face, looked even smaller under the glaring lights. The audience was quiet now, caught in the tension, a silent witness to this unwelcome showdown. Hadn't she come to support our child, to share this innocent moment? Suddenly, the lights dimmed. The music started again, a soft melody that felt entirely out of place after the dramatic scene that had just unfolded. The dance was to continue. The instructor looked conflicted, glancing from Lily to my ex-wife, but it was too late to backtrack. "Let us go, sweetheart," I whispered, stepping forward, my heart a cacophony of fear and protective instinct. I reached out, ready to scoop her up in my arms and carry her away from the laughter, away from her mother. But Lily shook her head, her expression fierce yet shattered. "No, Daddy. I want to finish." The crowd's heart leaned in her direction, a wave of support. A part of me wanted to scream at my ex-wife again, to expose her cruelty. But instead, I took a breath and stood back, a silent guardian on the sidelines, eyes glued to my daughter's determined fragile frame. The music picked up, and Lily began to dance again. This time, it wasn't graceful. It was raw, fiery, a desperate fight glimmering in her movements. I could see her channeling everything: the fall, the tension, the betrayal. She was reclaiming her moment, transforming her pain into something powerful. But my eyes betrayed me, they kept drifting back to my ex-wife. What was her intention? Was this laughter a one-time thing, or was it part of something far more sinister? As Lily spun again, this time with defiance, my gut twisted anew when I caught a strange look on my ex-wife's face. She leaned over, whispering to another parent. What were they conspiring about? In that instant, dread washed over me. My thoughts spiraled, and I realized this was only the beginning. There was something deeper here, something darker lurking beneath the surface. What truth had she brought with her today? And how far would she go to unveil it? I leaned in closer, my heart pounding. The next twist was coming, and I had to be ready for it. Lily's energy surged as she danced, every move echoing defiance. The audience felt it too. Whispers morphed into supportive cheers, and for a fleeting moment, it felt like a shield against the criticisms that had pierced her earlier. But I remained on edge, raking my mind for the truth hidden behind my ex-wife's unsettling laughter. The relentless rhythm of the music faded into a distant hum in my ears as I fixated on my ex. She leaned closer to her conspiratorial companion, the two of them sharing sinister laughter, like two wolves eyeing their prey. I couldn't shake the feeling that they were plotting something against Lily, something that would tear at her vulnerable heart once more. What are they talking about? I murmured to myself, my fists clenching involuntarily. A knot twisted tighter in my gut. I couldn't let whatever it was come to fruition. My sole focus was on Lily, lost in her dance, transforming her humiliation into strength, but shadows of my past loom over my judgment. My head spun with frantic thoughts. Suddenly, the dance instructor approached Lily, a furrow of concern on her brow. I held my breath, fearful she would interrupt. But Lily was in her element now, letting emotions guide her steps. The instructor hesitated but then stepped back, giving my daughter the space she clearly needed. Relief washed over me, but I couldn't overlook the darkening clouds gathering around us. A moment later, the music slowed, transitioning into a soft ballad. Lily danced delicately, her movements becoming almost ethereal. It felt like she was pulling the crowd into her world, a place far removed from the bitterness that plagued the walls of this recital hall. That's when my ex's voice, sharp and clear, sliced through the air. "How about we bring out the real star, huh?" She called out, her smirk wide and malevolent. Horror hit me like a lightning bolt. The audience murmured, confusion rippling through them, but Lily danced on, oblivious to her mother's merciless taunt. "No!" I shouted, my voice shaking but fierce, desperate. "Don't bring her into this." But I was too late. My ex-wife's accomplice, a wiry man with a camera, stepped forward, capturing every moment of Lily's struggle to manage her emotions on stage. Flash after flash illuminated the room, a hypnotic invasion to taint Lily's triumph with humiliation. Beneath the blinding lights, the tears brimmed anew in Lily's eyes. She turned, searching the crowded faces for support, for solace. My heart broke as I saw her falter, just for a beat, before rallying to finish strong. But my ex-wife wasn't finished. She leaned over to the man, whispering something that twisted my stomach into knots. Whatever she was planning, I could feel its insidious energy ripple through the room. I left my spot, pushed through the rows of spectators, urging my way toward the front, my resolve amplifying with each heartbeat. I had to shield my daughter from her mother's cruelty. When I reached the front, I locked eyes with my ex. "What do you want?" I demanded, my voice low and deadly calm, exuding a force I hoped would intimidate her. Her laugh rang out, echoing through the hall, but this time it felt like an ominous promise. "Let us just say this show is only getting started," she replied, glancing back to the stage where Lily continued to fight against the tide of despair. The challenge hung heavily between us. I couldn't afford to lose this battle. Not again. What lay beneath her sneering words? What secret was my ex-wife dragging into the light? I needed answers. The truth had to surface, or it would swallow us whole. As we locked gazes again, the atmosphere thick with dread, I felt a resurgence of adrenaline. I wouldn't allow my daughter to be a pawn in her game. The stakes escalated. Could I unravel her plan before it ensnared Lily? There was no time to waste. I could almost feel the ground tremble as the unexpected loomed closer. Would I be fast enough to protect my little girl from the darkness ahead? My heart raced as the tension between my ex-wife and me crackled like static in the air. Around us, the audience hushed, their faces a blend of concern and curiosity. They were witnessing a confrontation almost as unexpected as Lily's stunning dance. But I couldn't waver. Every ounce of banter, every subtext laced into my ex's words aimed to dismantle Lily, and I had to be her shield. "She's just a girl," I hissed, taking a step closer, trying to pierce through the smirk that was plastered across her face. "This isn't a game." My ex merely shrugged, pretending to survey the crowd as if deciding who to recruit for her twisted audience. "But you know how it goes, don't you? A little spotlight never hurt anyone unless they can't handle it." The cameras kept flashing, an invasive barrage too cruel for even the toughest of performers. And still, Lily danced on, hurt but resilient. Each step she took resonated with desperate hope, echoing in my chest like drums of war. "Lily!" I called out, my voice swept up in the oppressive atmosphere. I didn't want to distract her, but she needed to know I was here, ready to fight back. It was part fatherly instinct, part desperate plea. The music swelled, transforming from the soft ballad into an upbeat tempo, seemingly unaware of the discord at its edges. I could see that glimmer of confusion in Lily's eyes. She was searching for me, a constant in her swirling world of chaos. That moment felt suspended in air, my heart ached for her. "She doesn't need you," my ex spat, stepping forward as if to box me in. "She needs to face reality. This isn't about the dance. It's about the truth that you've avoided for too long." What truth was she speaking of? My mind darted, grasping at fragments of our shared past, the weeks of silence after the divorce, the fragmented relationship we maintained for Lily's sake. I realized now how many secrets had piled like fallen leaves, threatening to choke Lily's spirit. With her voice dripping in venom, my ex continued, "Survivors don't hide from their pasts. They confront it. Isn't that right, everyone?" She turned, inviting the crowd into her twisted narrative. The murmurs of disagreement stirred and spread like wildfire. People exchanged glances, unsure how to react. There was sympathy for Lily, but fear was rising over the unknown. Could she expose something monstrous? Deciding that words weren't enough anymore, I reached for my ex and pulled her aside, away from Lily's focus and the invasive cameras. "You have to stop this now. Whatever you think you're doing, it's wrong." I pleaded, my voice barely above a whisper yet laced with urgency. She met my gaze, eyes simmering with something darker, something almost glad. Do you really think you can control the narrative? She's part of this world now. And when it all comes crashing down, that'll be on you. It hit me hard, the realization that she wanted Lily to fail. She relished the thought of her daughter's downfall. I could feel the blood pound in my ears, my fists still clenched tight. But then I spotted a flicker of movement on stage. Lily was faltering, caught in a glance with her mother's accomplice, the camera capturing every shattered moment. It was as if the ground had pulled away beneath her, and she teetered on the edge of a dark precipice. Lily, focus. I shouted, pushing away from my ex and racing toward the stage. Keep dancing. She hesitated, her beautiful spirit wavered at the onslaught of fear. My heart sank, but I couldn't give up. I wouldn't allow my ex to cast her shadow over our daughter's glorious light. With every ounce of willpower, I called to her again, you are so much stronger than this. Show them who you really are. As I did, the room erupted into a mix of encouragement and tension. Would my words anchor Lily back to her rhythm, or would they send her spiraling further into despair? The outcome was uncertain, but what I did know was I wouldn't stand idly by anymore. The truth loomed, but I had to protect Lily first in whatever twisted game my ex had concocted. But suddenly, the music screeched to a halt. And in that chilling silence, we all awaited the next move. What revelation lay ahead that could shatter everything? My breath caught as the dreadful silence wrapped around us, thick as fog. The room was electric, every eye locked on the stage. I could see the mix of fear and excitement dancing across the crowd, hungry for drama. My heart thudded painfully in my chest, echoing Lily's unsteady breaths. Lily stood trapped in that moment, doubt flickering like a candle about to snuff out. The longer the silence stretched, the more the tension bound us, like string pulling tighter. I wanted to reach out, to bridge the chasm, but panic tightened around me too. What could shatter Lily's spirit would likely shatter mine as well. Then came the laughter. It sliced through the stillness sharp, mocking, a cruel reminder of the burden her mother had chosen to bear witness to. My ex made no effort to hide her delight, eyes glimmering with a sinister happiness. She simply can't handle the spotlight, can she? The words were laced with wicked satisfaction. My fists clenched again. How had it come to this? A mother's betrayal, gleefully dancing on the edge of her daughter's despair. I felt a fire ignite within, my instincts kicked in, pushing me forward. Lily! I bellowed, my voice now booming through the tension. You've got this. You are remarkable, no matter how brutal life can be. I knew the world might view her journey as shameful, but I had to show her it was more than that. Slowly, Lily turned her gaze toward me, searching. A flicker of recognition crossed her features, and in that moment, I saw the power of her spirit battling against the shadows. The laughter that rang out began to fade, those who had once joined and turned their faces, unsure and uncomfortable, gaining confidence. Lily straightened her posture, a determination igniting her essence. The music began to blossom once more, filling the air not with a gentle caress but a fierce anthem of resilience. She danced not in spite of her doubt, but in acknowledgement of it. With each step, her confidence built, wrapping around her like a cloak of courage, illuminating the dance floor instead of allowing it to consume her. Every turn, every leap was a retaliation against her mother's cruelty. People began cheering, their encouragement echoing like a wave crashing onto shore, but as I watched the cheers swell, an uneasy sensation gnawed at my stomach. What kind of monster had I divorced? Fueled by vindictiveness, she was capable of dismantling dreams with glee, and now she was merely sitting back, letting the chaos play out. Stand tall, Lily. Don't let her win. Daniel, a friend from our past, shouted. I could see murmurings among the audience, questions forming about my excess actions. But was it enough? Was one dance, however stunning, enough to wipe away the stains of her betrayal? Then, just as the room erupted in applause, a crash echoed through the auditorium. A spotlight flickered unervingly, and the sound of the microphone screeching filled the space. The unsettling buzz enveloped us, and the energy shifted. I turned toward the source of the sound, and my chest dropped. My ex was no longer laughing. Her face was twisted, betraying a darkness that clawed beneath the surface. A chilling thought gripped me. Did she have something planned? The glances exchanged in the back row hinted at something much larger than the dance unfolding right now. This isn't over, I whispered to myself, a cold realization settling in my gut. The truth that could unravel everything. What darkness lay underneath all smiles and applause? Lily, still dancing, couldn't know the real game at play. The world was watching, and so was my ex, plotting and scheming. I had to keep her safe, but at what cost? As the spotlight shifted, I realized with dawning horror that the worst was yet to come. What sinister truth would emerge next? The applause faded, replaced by an underlying hum of anxiety that thrummed through the crowd. My eyes darted around, searching for anything out of place, my senses heightened. I needed to redirect the momentum, but for every cheer that resonated for Lily, a new wave of discomfort crashed from the back of the auditorium. Then, like the snap of a rubber band, the lights dimmed to near darkness. The only glow came from the stage, a fierce spotlight now focused on Lily, illuminating her defiance. But in the shadows, I could see figures moving, whispering, plotting. Panic surged again. What was going on? Come on, Lily. You've got this. I yelled, desperation tinging my voice. She needed to know I was there, anchored in her corner. Yet, there was a weight to her movements, her previously liberated dance now laced with uncertainty. The cheers felt more like a reminder of what was at stake, a fragile facade barely holding together. Suddenly, the sound of shuffling feet broke my concentration. I turned just in time to see a group of 3 individuals slip into the aisle at the back, their faces obscured by hoodies. They were headed toward my ex, who now wore an unsettling smile, a darkness pooling in her eyes that I had never seen before. Something isn't right, I muttered under my breath, my heart racing. It felt like I was in a thriller where the characters were too oblivious to the twisted plot unraveling around them. I felt Daniel brush against my shoulder, his eyes wide. What are they doing? He whispered, tension thick in his tone. I don't know. I replied, watching with growing dread. My fingers fumbled at my side as I contemplated charging toward them. I had to do something. Just then, a scream pierced the air. It was shrill and jagged, cutting through the energy in the room like a shattered glass. All heads turned, the chatter and applause swallowed by stunned silence. The crowd erupted into chaotic whispers, uncertainty moving like a ripple through the audience. Lily! I shouted, certain the noise would derail her rhythm, but she remained focused, lost in her own world amid the clamor. Was that resilience, or denial? I struck forward, adrenaline in every step. The last thing I wanted was to disrupt her moment, but the danger was palpable. The masked intruders seemed fixated on my ex. They hovered close, a storm brewing just beneath their casual demeanor. I held my breath as I reached the edge of the stage, uncertainty clouding my mind. There was a moment of hesitation, the weight of my actions pressing down like a lead blanket. But then I spotted my ex nodding toward them, a conspiratorial glint in her eye, and that was it. Enough was enough. Get away from her. I hollered, my voice strong and determined. Lily stilled for just a moment, her dance forgotten, eyes darting between me and the figures shrouded in shadow. The cheers had turned to gasps, the audience holding their breath, teetering on the edge of something monstrous. Don't. It's not, she started, but the words were lost as 2 of them lunged toward me, their intentions masked in menace. I braced myself, fists clenched tight. The muffled sound of her heartbeat mingled with the chaos around me, an unsettling reminder that this fight wasn't about me anymore. It was for her future, for her safety. And as I stepped forward, ready to confront the lurking shadows, a sinister laugh echoed through the room. It was my ex. The sound slithered through the air, wrapping around us, promising that this twisted game was far from over. Let us see how long you can both dance around the truth. What was her endgame? The stakes soared, and the darkness began to seep closer, suffocating, wrapping around us like a noose. What was the truth she was hiding, and would Lily be able to escape it? I threw myself at the 2 figures charging toward me, adrenaline surging. Their intentions were steeped in menace, but I couldn't let fear grip me now. I barely had time to brace myself when they collided with my body, sending us sprawling onto the stage. A flash of horror crossed Lily's face, and for a fleeting moment, everything stood still. The audience held their breath, the ground thudded beneath me, a stark contrast to the dazzling lights above. I shoved one assailant off me just in time to see the other reach for something at their side, a glimmer of metal that sent shivers down my spine. I scrambled to my feet as chaos erupted, the crowd rising in a panic, some people standing, others ducking for cover. "Lily!" I shouted, searching the stage for her. She was frozen, eyes wide, caught between fear and disbelief. "Run!" I yelled, but her feet seemed glued to the floor. It was as if she couldn't move amid the shadowy figures converging on us. One of the assailants lunged at me again, and I twisted, barely dodging the swing that could have knocked me out cold. The metallic smell of fear filled the air, the alarm and adrenaline zipping through my veins like electricity. Behind me, I heard a glass shatter. Someone had tried to escape through the emergency exit, but instead, it seemed to have created more chaos. People scrambled, pushing one another as the auditorium devolved into pure pandemonium. "Lily!" I cried out again, taking a half-step toward her, but the shadows blocked my path, closing in like vultures on a fresh carcass. The sinister laugh rang out once more, echoing dangerously, and I felt cold dread seep into my bones. I pivoted, ready to fight, to protect her at all costs. The lead figure, tall and menacing even beneath the hood, reached into their pocket pulling out a flash drive. The sight sent a jolt through me. "Your secrets will devour you," my ex declared, her voice like ice, cutting through the chaos. "What are you talking about?" I yelled back, my heart pounding. "Let us see how long she lasts without knowing the truth," she taunted, her eyes dancing with malice. Just as she spoke, I witnessed the chaos unfold. A frantic wave of humanity surged forward, pushing against the blocked exits. Bodies collided, fear painted on every face. My chest tightened. Was I just one person against this impending disaster? A voice from the crowd broke through the din, "Get help! Call the police!" A woman screamed, but the echo of helplessness gnawed at my insides. In that moment, I saw my chance. Adrenaline surged once more as I charged toward the figures, eyes locked on the flash drive as if it were a ticking bomb. If I could just reach it, with a furious push, I was on them, grappling, fists flying. The shadows morphed into chaotic shapes as fear morphed the room. Suddenly, the lights flickered back on bright, blindingly illuminating the stage. For a split second, everything was clear. I saw the audience, wide-eyed and shocked. I caught glimpses of familiar faces, friends, family, people I loved. The moment held, but it shattered as I felt a blow to my side, pain bursting forth like fire. "Lily!" I cried out again. Then, everything fell apart. Her gaze met mine, confusion mixing with sheer horror, leaving me with one burning thought. How could she escape if she was still dancing in the dark? And then just then the world shifted again as the auditorium doors burst open. A flood of blue and red lights danced in, vivid flashes cutting through the swirling chaos. Would salvation come in time to save us from whatever sinister plans were unfolding? This fight was far from over. The instant the blue and red lights pierced the chaos, the sharp sound of sirens drowned out the noise of panicked screams. I caught a glimpse of uniformed officers rushing in, their determined faces set against the tide of fear spilling through the auditorium. But salvation felt distant. I could still see the glimmer of that flash drive, the threat it represented, looming over everything like storm clouds ready to break. "Lily, get down!" I bellowed, my voice honed razor-sharp by desperation. The shadows danced around me, taunting, evading. I lunged toward the lead assailant just as he positioned the flash drive to my face with a twisted smile that made my blood run cold. "Stop!" I shouted, feeling the heaviness of the moment press down on me. I saw Lily's wide eyes filled with tears, desperation and confusion etched across her face. She was my priority. I couldn't let anything happen to her. With a sickening crunch, I connected with the figure's jaw, sending him reeling. The blow only fueled my adrenaline, but there was no time to relish in the victory. Another figure rushed forward with a menacing glimmer of steel, a knife, sharp and unforgiving, that I ducked just in time, the blade slicing through the air where my head had been seconds before. Panic surged through me, tightening my chest until I thought I might drown in fear. The room buzzed with chaos. People were shouting, rushing the exits, trying to reclaim their safety. In the whirlwind, I turned to Lily again. "Stay back. I'll handle this." But as I glanced towards her, my heart froze. Another figure had latched onto her arm. Fear twisted in my gut as I saw her begin to jerk away, tugged between escape and the grip of shadows. "Let her go," I roared, each word burning like molten iron on my tongue. "No," my ex screamed from the edge of the chaos, a dark glint in her eyes. "This is just the beginning." Before I could process the weight of her words, another blow landed, this time across my back, driving me forward. I stumbled but quickly regained my feet. The assault was relentless. They surged like a tidal wave determined to drown me. In that moment, I dug deep within myself, rising above the pain, the fatigue. For Lily, I'd fight until my last breath. An officer burst through the throng, drawing his weapon. "Everybody down," he shouted. The authority in his voice sliced through the turmoil like a knife. Gunshots rang out, echoing like thunder. Time stretched, and every heartbeat pulsed with anticipation. The hooded figures flinched but didn't falter. I fought harder, evading and dodging, my focus sharp. With a desperate shove, I pushed one attacker into the other. They tripped, allowing me precious seconds to leap into the fray again. "Lily, run!" I yelled. "Find help. Get out of here." But she shook her head, tears spilling as fear pulsed through her. "I won't leave you. Not again." The assailants regrouped, forming a wall of darkness. My options shrank, the tension in the air thickening like smoke. Then, between the chaotic crowd and flickering chaos, a glimmer of hope glinted on the stage. The flash drive remained, taunting me like a sinister prophecy. This was the key to unraveling everything, to revealing the truth about my past, my ex's twisted game, and my own death sentence. That I took a deep breath, the weight of the moment crashing around me. A decision had to be made. I could retreat or push through. With one last look at Lily's terrified face, I knew I had to go for broke. "Let us finish this." I hurled myself forward, the world blurring around me as I launched toward the menace that threatened to spill all. But just as I reached for the drive, a shadow loomed larger than anything I had faced before. The moment of truth loomed ever closer. Would I emerge on the other side, or was it too late? I gritted my teeth, determined to find out. I had barely grasped the flash drive when the massive shadow exploded into my space. It was a brute, muscles coiled tight beneath a black hoodie, a wall of menace blocking my way. My heart raced, and every instinct screamed for me to retreat, but there was no turning back now. "Move!" I yelled, launching a fist towards him. He caught my wrist effortlessly, twisting it in a way that made my bones scream. Pain shot through me, but I flung my other arm forward, hitting him hard in the stomach. He grunted but didn't buckle. Instead, he twisted, pulling me closer, and I felt the sharp edge of something cold press against my throat, a blade glinting in the chaos. "Let go of the girl," he hissed, dark eyes boring into mine. I could see the hint of madness swirling behind them. The sounds of the auditorium faded into a muffled echo, the swirling chaos in my mind narrowing until only Lily's terrified face remained. This was it, my moment, our moment of reckoning. "Stop it. Just let her go." My voice was hoarse, filled with an urgency I hoped would break through to him. He laughed, a low, sick sound that sent shivers skittering down my spine. "You think I care about her? She's just a pawn, another stepping stone to what I want." The floor trembled beneath us as the officers pushed through the crowd, their voices a mix of command and confusion. I could see flashes of blue uniforms, but they were still too far to help. Time felt like sand slipping through my fingers, each grain a second closer to disaster. With a surge of adrenaline, I stomped hard on his foot. It was a risk, but I had to fight. He howled, flinching forward, and I seized the opportunity. I twisted my wrist free and drove my knee up sharply into his groin. He crumpled with a strangled gasp, the knife falling from his grasp. "Lily! Run!" I urged again, my voice rising above the chaos as I lunged for the flash drive, snatching it up even as the other attackers regrouped around me. The ugly faces of my nightmare intensified, and the tension snapped like a taut wire, but Lily didn't move. "I can't just leave you. Get out!" I screamed, desperation slicing through my voice like a blade. I didn't have time to explain. I had to protect her. One of the remaining assailants charged toward her, advancing like a dark storm. In a heartbeat, I forced myself between them. I swung wildly, adrenaline fueling my blows, but there were too many. The second attacker came up behind me, and I felt a hard impact against my back that sent me sprawling to the ground. Dizzy and gasping, I fought to push myself up. My vision blurred, but I caught a glance of Lily, her wide eyes locked in horror. I couldn't let her see me like this. I shook off the dizziness, focusing on the flash drive clutched in my hand, a lifeline to the truth. "Get back!" I shouted, standing my ground despite the odds. My heart thundered in my chest as the reality of the confrontation sunk in. This was no longer just about me, it was about protecting everything and everyone I loved. Through the haze of chaos, I could nearly hear the sirens crescendoing outside, the distant wail growing louder. But it didn't matter. I had to act now. Just as I positioned myself to charge, a sharp crack echoed through the room, shattering the tension like glass. I turned, eyes wide in horror, just in time to see an officer collapse, the uniform plunging into the fray. Panic washed over the crowd. Whispers erupted, eyes widening, fear spiraling into a collective frenzy. The attackers paused for a mere heartbeat, but it was enough for me to seize the moment. In that split second, I saw the flash drive glimmering in my palm. It wasn't just a key, it was my lifeline, my weapon. And then I heard the voice of my ex, unmistakable, cutting through the noise. "You think this will save her?" The doubt crept in, that sickening twist in my gut. What did she know that I didn't? And before I could answer that question, she lunged forward into the chaos, and everything began to unravel. Was this the end, or was there a chance to sway fate? Would any of us make it out alive, or was it too late for my family? I never thought I'd find myself at the threshold of devastation, but I felt it closing in. The shadows were moving. And they were hungry. In the chaotic aftermath, time twisted and stretched like elastic. Sirens blared, piercing the air with urgency, flooding the room with the police's commanding presence. I could barely grasp the turmoil swirling around us. It felt like a nightmare spilling into reality. Lily was still frozen, eyes wide and fear-stricken, caught between fight and flight. "Lily!" My shout cut through the pandemonium. The glint of the flash drive was still tightly clutched in my fist. This was the essential piece in a cruel game orchestrated by my ex. "You've got to go. Now!" Panic surged through me as I propelled myself closer to her, desperately shoving through the throngs of chaos. She shook her head, determination and fear battling in her tiny frame. But I couldn't let her remain trapped. Gathering every ounce of strength, I stepped forward, guiding her behind me as the figures closed in again. "Get behind me," I ordered, my voice steady despite the turmoil. Deep within, I felt a surge of purpose. I had to protect her, even if it meant facing my worst fears head-on. Just then, the room erupted in a cacophony of shouts. Officers had arrived, but they were amidst the chaos unraveling, stuck in the fray, and my ex continuing her disturbingly sinister laughter sent chills down my spine. "You think they'll save you?" she taunted, her voice dripping with malice. "You truly believe they can stop this?" I regained my focus, locking eyes with Lily. "Listen to me. You have to run. I'm going to hold them back." Her face broke as she finally saw the gravity of our situation, doubts flickering across her expression, doubts I knew echoed deep inside me, too. But the time for doubt was gone. With a final push, I surged forward, confronting the advancing assailants. They were after the secrets, and I had become their last barrier. "Leave her alone," I shouted, clenching the flash drive like a lifeline as it burned in my palm. My heart raced as I engaged with them, trading blows, each punch resonating with the raw energy of a father clinging to his child's safety. The chaotic energy spilled respite when I ducked another blade-honed strike, and in that instant, I saw it clearly. The flash drive represented everything I needed to unveil the truth, to protect Lily from the crumbling world around us. Then, the air shifted again, electric and sudden. From the shadows emerged more figures, police officers wielding authority, shouts of commands rising above the chaos. "Step away from the girl." The air vibrated with the tension of impending resolution. In a blur of motion, 2 officers surrounded the hooded assailants, their commands piercing through the din like sirens calling for action. Panic set in, but I saw the glimmers of hope in Lily's eyes, the shadows above her dissipating. "Help!" I shouted, pushing back against the attackers who massed like shadows, threatening to sweep everything away. The officers sprang forward. What they found in me, the relentless drive to protect my daughter, was their signal to charge. Suddenly, the room exploded with the urgency of those wielding authority. I felt the tide beginning to shift. My excess expression fell from malice to shock as the stage was surrounded, the truth finally unraveling before us. But just then, she lunged for me, attempting to wrest the flash drive free from my hands. Had she really thought that her darkness could still shroud our lives? I held firm, the pull between her intentions and my resolve creating a vortex of impending fate. "You're losing control." My voice rose as I kept the drive firmly clutched, refusing to allow the darkness to envelop Lily's light. Suddenly, a hand reached for me, an officer's strong grip pulled me away. "Sir, we need to get the child out." My body stiffened, a protective instinct surging. "Lily!" I shouted, reaching out through the chaos. She had finally started moving, retreating towards safety as the officers regained control. Together, they formed a shield around her. Her escape was imminent. "No!" my ex screamed, lunging toward Lily. But the officers were quicker. They whisked her behind an unyielding wall of blue fabric and uniforms. My heart raced. "Stop. You'll never hurt her again." That's when the lights flickered, and chaos erupted. But hope surged anew. My hand still clasped the flash drive, the key that harbored truths and the weapon against the demon of the past. I turned back to the audience, now murmuring with a new understanding, the fear giving way to an unyielding wave of support as they watched my excess plan collapse like a house of cards. As the units surrounded my ex, snapping on cuffs, sealing away her tyranny, I reached for Lily. "It's okay, sweetheart, you're safe now." Tears streamed down her face as she finally let go of fear, rushing into my arms. We held tightly, finally shielded from the storm. "Daddy, I was so scared," she cried. I touched her cheek, brushing away her tears, my heart swelling. "I'm here, and I will always protect you. Always." In that moment, a healing energy pulsed between us, the light pushing back against the shadows. The officers worked to secure the chaotic crowd, but the air felt different now, lighter, like we were lifting a burden together that had weighed us down for too long. As the pieces of my world began to slide into place, I finally breathed, realizing with pure certainty, we made it. Together, we walked towards safety, hand in hand. And as we stepped out into the world beyond, I felt a new dawn rising, a promise of new beginnings glimmering on the horizon. And now, more than ever, I could finally let go of the past, treasuring the truth that would forever bind us, love, unwavering and strong in the face of darkness. As the story draws to a close, remember that this is more than just a tale, it's a reflection of resilience. If you felt the emotions with us, if you want more stories that tug at your heart and carry you through every twist and turn, you have to subscribe immediately. Don't miss the chance for the next exclusive story. Smash that like button now to help send this message far and wide, feeding the algorithm that brings you these incredible tales, and flood that comment section with your reactions, your thoughts, your theories about everything we've just witnessed. Your voice matters. Lastly, don't wait even one more second. Share this video with at least 5 friends who need to experience this journey too. Trust me, they'll thank you for it.